Hello viewers, we are now heading back out to the show floor to the Consumer Protection Zone. CPZ is a special part of ICE London that showcases new products and solutions, as well as discussions, presentations and speeches from those working to make the gambling industry safe and sustainable and to protect players from gambling harms. From its second year, it has also served as a fundraising opportunity, helping Clarion Gaming support charities and non-profits active in the sector. This year, CPZ is bigger and better than ever, and to date it has raised almost £150,000 for deserving causes. The area is now to serve making player protection an important feature of ICE London and the experience. Andy is over at CPZ now with Tim Miller, the Executive Director of the Gambling Commission, and also with the Gordon Moody Association, a long-standing CPZ exhibitor. Over to you, Andy.
Thank you, Katie. Yes, welcome back out to the show floor, and what a fantastic afternoon and day one this is really turning into. And I'm really pleased to be joined now by Tim Miller from the Gambling Commission. Tim, welcome to ICE Live 365.
Thanks, really great to be here.
It's good to have you here, and you're from the Gambling Commission, so we're down here in the Consumer Protection Zone. A great thing for this show, obviously, and do you think, though, as you're walking around and talking to people here, that the gambling industry has taken the right steps forward in its player protection over the last year or so?
Yeah, certainly we've seen some real positives. I mean, if you think of the context we're all working in, a pandemic had hit, no one really knew what that was going to do, and there were lots of fears that you'd see a sudden rise in problem gambling. People were at home, perhaps bored, perhaps getting involved with riskier products. And actually, we haven't seen that. We've been working really closely with the industry to make sure they understand the sort of things they need to do. And actually, all of the research we do shows that over the pandemic period, problem gambling hasn't risen. In fact, it's probably started to go down. So clearly, something is going right there.
And what's particularly impressed you then that the operators have done to make sure that wasn't the issue that everyone thought it might be?
I think most importantly, they've taken account of the guidance that we put out there fairly early on in the pandemic. We haven't seen examples of operators trying to perhaps exploit some of the opportunities that the pandemic may have presented. And we are seeing operators taking kind of more time now to try and understand how the pandemic was affecting changes in consumer behaviour and reacting to that. And I think that's a really positive sign.
And the innovation that's always going to flow from an industry like this, where do you think that innovation with respect to consumer protection has been coming from? Is it the operators or the suppliers?
I think interestingly it's perhaps not either of those. I mean, what we see increasingly is that there's voices outside of the industry altogether who are really seeing the opportunities to use technology, to use their skills to help the gambling industry make gambling safer. So, one example I give is the financial services industry, who now have been rolling out gambling blocks so that their customers can actually block gambling if they're finding it problematic. And I think the fact that those sorts of sectors are willing to work with the gambling industry is a really positive change.
So looking at any action that needs to be taken, is there anything that strikes you as urgent action needed with the industry? Or how much further could and should the industry go in enhancing the safeguards that are in place as we speak now?
Yeah, so one of the things we're seeing as a regulator is that the sort of failings that we deal with, the breaches of our rules that we see, are time and time again the same issues, the same failings around not interacting properly with customers that are showing signs of harm, for example. So one of the things we will be doing later this week, most likely on Thursday, is announcing the outcome of a consultation we did to strengthen those rules. So we'll be setting out what obligations we expect operators to meet when interacting with customers so that they can spot the early signs of problem gambling and act quickly.
So we're down here in the Consumer Protection Zone. You've been here all day. What's really impressed you as you've been walking around and talking to people here?
So I think what's great is for those of us that are familiar with the Consumer Protection Zone, we've seen the journey that it's come on. 5 years or so ago, there was a conversation between us and Clarion about creating this space. And year on year, we've seen it grow, we've seen it get into a more prominent location. And this year, it just feels so different. It's a really open space. There are people all around us having conversations about protecting consumers. And I think huge credit needs to go to Clarion for giving up this space, particularly to Eva at Clarion, who's really been the driving force behind this. And hopefully she'll appreciate the shout out for that.
Everyone likes a name check.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you've been to other ICE events here at XL. XL. What has struck you at this year's event as being a bit of a standout difference?
I think there's a different kind of tone to it. It feels more relaxed in a way, much more kind of open. It's certainly a bit quieter than previous years, but I think what that means is people are engaging in more conversations. You know, you can spend a bit more time looking at different things, talking to people. And I think given the kind of couple of years we've all had where, frankly, it's been hard to leave the house, having the opportunity to actually speak to real people in the flesh, you know, to not have to speak to your own family anymore has been fantastic.
Well, hopefully your wife isn't watching, but Tim, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure, thanks a lot.
Okay, so there you have Tim Miller from the Gambling Commission. It's all go down here in the Consumer Protection Zone. There's lots taking place, so if you are watching this now live online, do get yourself down here to the XL. Because lots of great things taking place and really good information you can gain from coming down here. Now, another guy is coming for me now, Matthew Hickey. Welcome to Ice Live 365.
Hi, thanks very much.
You're from the Gordon Moody Association, and for those that don't know, explain to me what that does.
So Gordon Moody is the residential treatment operation for those most affected by gambling addiction. So we treat both men and women from across the UK, here in our centres in London, in Manchester and Birmingham, and yeah, overcome their addiction issues.
And how are you funded? Where does the funding come from? This is great work you do, but where does that funding come from?
A bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. We get funding from Gamble Aware, who commission some of our services. We also in receipt of funding direct from the operators, and we do other charitable activities as well, which raise our funds.
So the help that you get from the industry then in supporting and to provide this very, very good help for people that need it and that have been affected by gambling harms, how do you put that to use?
That ranges from everything from enabling us to purchase properties right the way through to allowing the guys to be part of our Three Peaks Challenge that we've recently done, and everything in between, really.
So how else do you think the industry can support you further to help that great work that Gordon Moody does?
I think one of the key things that we've really got to do is collaborate more and more between ourselves on the treatment side, but also with the industry, so that we can get better understand where the touch points are and where the negative touch points are as well, so that we can help one another in overcoming addiction.
And looking at the gambling industry, do you think they've taken the right steps forward to help player protection and their efforts over the last year?
I mean, I've been involved now for 2 years at Gordon Moody, and I've seen such great transformation within the operators. The safer gambling messaging that they're doing, the responsible gambling activities that they're undertaking are all really big steps forward. I think there's still a lot more that we can all do, and we will get there, but, you know, one step at a time.
So those steps over the last 12 months, what's particularly impressed you that the industry has moved forward on?
So, you know, I think the change in the messaging around safer gambling has really risen the awareness that gambling and the addiction that comes with it, and more people are coming forward, which is only a good thing, so that we can treat these people that are suffering in silence. You know, gambling addiction is known as the hidden addiction because no one really pops up until they're really in crisis. And I think the messaging is really moving people forward and going, actually, I do have a problem and I can do something about it.
And if someone's watching this now and they think they may need to reach out to you guys at the Gordon Moody Association, how would they do that?
Firstly, pop online to our website. There's interactive chat going on there 24/7, 365 days a year. You can come in, you can talk to us. If you're right to come into us and have residential treatment, great. If not, we can refer you on to the right people as well.
Now, you're talking about the Three Peaks Challenge that's coming up. Are you still looking for people to do that to raise money?
Always looking for people to help us raise money. We're always in need of more so that we can treat more people. Simple as that.
Now, unfortunately, I've got a bit of a bad leg, so I won't be able to help you on the Three Peaks Challenge. Are you going to be doing it?
I've got gout, so no.
Well, it looks like
a middle-aged thing.
Thank you. Looks like we're both in the same boat, doesn't it? Matthew Hickey, thank you very much indeed. Look, Katie, it's back to you. Thanks for joining us here on the show floor. We'll have more for you tomorrow.
Thank you, Andy. Wonderful to hear what's going on down at the Consumer Protection Zone. I think I might sign myself up for the Three Peaks Challenge. So up next, we have a CEO question time. Keep watching to find out which CEO we have in the studio.